and on the way when they attend tournaments as well. But they're facing off here this afternoon at 4 o'clock. Newfoundland Daylight Savings Time, and we're almost set for the anthems. Or anthem. So it's showtime on a Wednesday afternoon, and welcome aboard wherever you may be streaming in. I'm with Mike O'Brien of the Newfoundland Growlers, who's got me on a milk carton standing above the ice level here at center ice, and this is almost as good as it gets for an aging broadcaster whose eyesight is certainly not what it used to be. You can talk to anybody that's called the great game of hockey over the years, and if your eyes aren't good, then things don't normally work out too well for you. But this should be an epic game here this afternoon. No chirping at the officials. I'll do the best I can to stay on top of the action as we face off, and we are underway. The Growlers try to come up with quick puck possession, but the Blizzards' Farrell will get it in, and it's taken away by the Pinnacle Growlers. They'll move it up as far as center. A slow rolling puck into the zone, and heading back was Cody. He'll get the first touch for the East Coast Blizzard. Up for Farrell on the boards. It comes to the line, but it's not out. Skinner kept it in there, and Corbett, who's off to a sensational season here in his rookie or campaign, third-year player, leads the team with 19 goals. But back to more action as King steps inside the zone. There's a shot right on, and Jack Barrington will corral that. The shot actually looked like it was going wide of the goal, but young Barrington, number 31, will hang on, and we'll get a face-off to his direct left. So, yeah, I'm a little rusty, and it's been a while, so we're going to, as the game goes along, hopefully it'll be a little more enjoyable for you, and I'll do the best I can to not make a total show of it, in a bad sense of the word. Growlers will jump on a loose puck, and he'll get it as far as center. Here's a feed for Knight, steps in over the line, threw it in the slot, and that one got by everybody. Comes up the left wing boards, but Devereaux tried to contain it, but it's going to come all the way back down to Jack Barrington. He'll fire it up the boards. Knight with a little touch pass, looking for Bolin, but he couldn't find him. Bolin on pursuit, though, and now the puck will be coming to the line, and it'll just stay inside the zone. We're right above it. Now a feed cross ice here for Avery. He wanted to get it back to Devereaux with the point, but he could not come up with it. Pilgrim, cross ice feed out as far as center. Kosh had it, lost control. And the Growlers try to reset here, and they'll drop the puck into the zone. That'll be called for icing. So we played 1 minute and 25 seconds here this afternoon in the eighth and final meeting of the regular season schedule between the Pinnacle Growlers and the East Coast Blizzard. Both teams have been waging a battle for supremacy here in the Newfoundland Labrador U18 Major Hockey League for players between the ages of 15 and 18. Back in the day when I was playing at this level, it was called midget hockey, but of course in today's world it's no longer called that. It's now U18 for the 15 to 18-year-olds. Knight firing that puck into Blizzard territory. They'll work it up as far as center. Kept in at the line momentarily. And now the Blizzard get an on-man rush here. Looks like a 3-on-2. This is Marner putting on the brakes. It was swept away from him by Liam Hodder, of the Newfoundland Growlers. And now an opportunity for the Pinnacle squad to get going up ice. Led by Kennedy. He's at center, hits the blue line. He was stopped up short there, and now give and go feed here And Mitchellmore trying to get to the puck, but it was chipped out. Now an opportunity for Kennedy. He's on his lonesome. He'll let it fly, and the save is made by young Arnold in between the pipes. And now we'll get a puck held, and it looks like we're going to get our first penalty of the afternoon. It's going to be an interference call at 2:29. And it appears that the East Coast Blizzard, under the tutelage of head coach Jeff Brewer, are going to go to the manpower advantage here. So they'll bring the puck down into the Pinnacle zone. It'll be to the left of goaltender Jack Barrington. Puck drop back to the point. Lovelace will keep it on side. He throws it cross ice as they look for an option. There's a shot. Loose puck in the slot. Another save right there. Backhand hit the goal post. Blizzard almost undone this 0-0 score early in on the power play. Had a couple good looks there, but Barrington stood tall and made the save. Here's Noble. Always a threat. Loses it here, and it's flipped out to center and gloved down by Cross. His long feed for King went astray, and the puck delivered back in behind the Pinnacle Growler goal, gobbled up here, and it's threaded out and down the ice as Mason Dodd did the do. No score here. We've got 70 seconds left in this first power play for the Blizzard. That's intercepted and whistled right back by Jack Chafe. Lovelace in behind his net, puts on the brakes, trying to engineer the offense on this foray out of his own zone. He'll get as far as center. Long feed for Mitchellmore. That hopped by him, and that's going to be an icing call against the East Coast Blizzard. So back to the thought process on this game this afternoon. These are the top teams in ranking 1 and 2. The East Coast Blizzard pretty well have to win out if they want to leapfrog the Pinnacle Growlers for first place in the NL U18 standings. Right now they're separated by a mere 4 or 5 points, but the Blizzard, who are still on the power play, of 3 games in hand. This is the Pinnacle Growlers' final regular season contest, their 32nd of this year's campaign. Half a minute left in the power play for the Blizzard. That puck is golfed out of there by Liam Hodder and all the way down the ice. Oh, coming out of his goal was Arnold. He played it up, and now an odd-man rush. Cody for Noble, always dangerous. Let it fly, and he ripped it high and hard, and that is off the glass and off the protective mesh. And we get a stoppage in play with 14 seconds remaining in the East Coast Blizzard power play. We played 4:15, and it's still scoreless. Declan Kennedy anxiously awaiting his return to the ice, and he's going to be back in 8 seconds. And his teammates going shorthanded. Michael Skinner, who leads the Pinnacle Growlers with 28 helpers, was thwarted here. Now we're back to even strength. So no score here, 5:35 in. And a battle for top spot in the Newfoundland Labrador U18 Major Hockey League standings. Ryan Daw back into his own zone with a right wing pass to Ben O'Brien. They got as far as center. Now Skinner looking for O'Brien. That didn't work. And stepping up is Daw. In for Corbett, a bit too far. LeDrew back for the Blizzard. Passing up the right wing, a long feed for Farrell. This is going to go the length of the ice, everybody, and it's coming back. And we have another icing here against the East Coast Blizzard. So just back to what we were talking about a little earlier. Coming in, the Pinnacle Growlers sit atop the 5-team provincial Major Hockey League for 15 to 18-year-olds with a record of 23-7-1, while the East Coast Blizzard are 19-6-3. And as I mentioned earlier, the Blizzard have 3 games in hand. They'll try to wrap up their part of the schedule after this is completed this afternoon. Delay here as LeDrew caught an edge and fell. His teammates had to recoil. Clearing pass was intercepted. And now a second opportunity for the Growlers to get out. Skinner at the end of his shift. Oda Gas will deliver it in. And racing back for that loose puck was Jacob Payne. Payne inserted into the Blizzard lineup this afternoon. They have been decimated by the flu bug. They have at least 4 regulars out of their lineup here this afternoon. Well, that means other kids will get an opportunity to do what they can to help this team as they hunt down their nemesis here in a toe-to-toe matchup on a Wednesday afternoon. Still scoreless. Flipped along the boards out as far as center. Mitchell Moore with a bit of giddy up, plays the body. The puck will come out through center. Both teams a little scrambly here, trying to get themselves going offensively. They're filling each other out, and they should know by now in their 8th and final meeting. Arnold played it up smartly on the left wing as the Blizzard motor into the zone. Now it's out through center and a long feed. Oh, a good defensive play there by Pilgrim on the backhand as Knight was looking to wheel in alone. 6:50 gone in the opening period. Still scoreless. Pinnacle Growlers, East Coast Blizzard. From the D.F. Barnes Arena in Midtown St. John's on a Wednesday afternoon. Brian Rogers in for Seth Hyde. Daw into the zone with momentum. Daw let it fly. Great glove hand save. And nobody could collect the rebound. And a yawning cage awaiteth. Nauro fires it in for Bolin and hopped over his stick. The speedy Knight going in on the forecheck. Growler possession. Trying to come out of that corner and get some offense going here against young Arnold in the Blizzard goal. Kept in by Bolin. Trying to negotiate a pass for a teammate. Golfed out the length of the ice. And another icing called here. So Carter Arnold, who wasn't 100% prior to game time, has got the intestinal fortitude as a young stopper to battle the bug and slap on the pads, the leather lobster, and the blocker, and he's good to go here this afternoon. And he looked real good on that last rush into his team's territory. Feed for Vokey. Vokey will dump it into Pinnacle Growlers zone. Devereaux back there, battling with Marner. Devereaux being persisted by young Marner, and finally the puck flipped out through center. Good defensive play by the Blizzard to move the puck out of their end. Vokey steps inside the Growlers zone, pursues the puck off the end boards, took a light bump from Devereaux. None the worse for the wear. And now the Pinnacle Growlers will get it up ice. Stepping inside the zone, dropping back for Chafe. Chafe took a hard hit along the boards. And now an opportunity for Marner. He's going to get it by Devereaux. And a slow rolling puck coming the length of the ice. He's not going to get the call this time, so he'll regroup in his own zone and try to get it up ice. Long bouncing pass. Took a funky carom off the boards at center. And now stepping inside the zone come the Blizzard. Looking to get some offense going and break this tie, and there's a chance. And that one was flipped over top of the net. Pretty good look there. And now an opportunity for the Growlers to get it out as far as center. Cody playing it for Loveless. Noble caught an edge and blew a tire. Loose puck in the slot. Bounding in front here. And young Sexton will go after that, and he'll try to shuffle it up the boards. Bit of a high hit there. Let go by the referee, and now a flip out here through center. And it's taken away by the Growlers. They'll dump it, make that the Blizzard will dump it into Growler territory. I got a wee bit of rust on me, folks. Might be like my old jalopy parked out on the parking lot here at the former Fieldian Gardens, now known as the D.F. Barnes Arena here in Midtown St. John's. Puck possession for Noble inside of the Pinnacle Growler zone. A cross-ice feed for Loveless. Looking at the slot, and he got a shot through, and Barrington was able to steer that aside. I don't have a shot clock at my disposal, but it's got to be at least 5-2. Favor of the Growlers as Micah Tucker goes in. He's knocked down. Loose puck there, and they score. That one goes top shelf. A late Christmas gift there for number 15. And that, of course, is a real beautiful goal for Elliott Wright. He was Johnny on the spot, and it sat there, and he was able to go under the bar. And it's 1-0 for the Pinnacle Growlers. That goal coming at the 9:52 mark. It was after Arnold made a couple key saves on the initial rush. He had no chances. He was down and out, and Well, Elliot Wright said, "Thank you, Santa. Here's a late gift for me," lying right at his feet, and it's under the bar, and it's 1-0 for the Growlers. Young Arnold being attended to by the Growlers athletic, or make that the Blizzard athletic therapist. So Elliot Wright, who's one of 6 members of this Pinnacle Growlers team that will represent Newfoundland and Labrador at the Canada Winter Games in Charlottetown, PEI from February 18th to 25th, has the game's opening goal here this afternoon. So the goal is unassisted for Elliot Wright. Puck back on the point here now for Daw. He'll step up on a 2 Daw boys on the back end. He ripped a high, hard one. That's going to squirt out here to center. The other Daw, number 10, of course, is Mason. He'll get it back into Blizzard territory, and the East Coast team down 1-0, trying to keep it right there. Centering pass was swept away, and here come the Blizzard. 3-on-2, a feed for LeDrew, and his shot is well off the mark. Well, the old boards here at Fielding and Gardens, D.F. Barnes Arena, are just like they always were. Whoa, look out, folks, there's a souvenir. Somebody almost got a biscuit in the head, but luckily nobody was struck. So we played 10 minutes and 56 seconds of this tilt this afternoon between the Pinnacle Growlers and the East Coast Blizzard, and it's 1-0 for the Growlers. An unassisted goal by Elliot Wright. From the draw here is a loose puck along the boards as the Blizzard look for an equalizer. Puck along the boards for Chafe. Jack Chafe trying to work it up, couldn't get it there. And it's fed back in by Kosh. In behind the goal for Quinlan. Quinlan looked to the left wing point, but he couldn't find a teammate. And Pilgrim, the smooth skating rear guard, will backpedal into his own zone. He'll put on the brakes, take an outlet look. Got it up as far as center. That was intercepted, and now here's Knight. Stepping inside the zone. Lets it fly. Blocker save Arnold. Bolin playing that back in. Knight on the forecheck. Nolan going up there. Noah Bolin, pardon me. And Nick Devereaux was back first. That puck came outside the zone. Brought back in by Noah Dolan. And Jack Chafe has it for the Pinnacle Growlers. A feed for Knight up the boards. Took a bump from King. Chafe will spin about. And will throw it cross ice. Here's Devereaux with a nice move. And then he's poke checked by Noble. Good defensive play by a speedy forward there. Got to play at both ends of the rink, obviously. And a long feed. Contact made, no icing. Devereaux plays it in behind the goal for Jack Chafe. Chafe slowly out of his zone, finds Devereaux. Devereaux's long left wing pass for Bolin, cut down by Cody. And it was flipped over his glove and back in to Blizzard territory. Vokey rubbed out of the play by Hussey and allows Daw, the captain, to find Kennedy up the left wing boards. Kennedy tripped up, no call, and the play continues, and the puck deep inside the Blizzard zone. Daw tried his shot, actually looked like a half shot pass, but the Blizzard were able to gobble it up, and they'll play it inside the zone. Loose puck here. Noble tried to move, but he was negated, and the puck back out through center. 6:51 left in the opening period. Pinnacle Growlers on an unassisted, even strength goal by Elliot Wright of a 1-0 lead. Crosses shot. Fired that wide to Barrington, and it's gobbled up. And the Growlers look to get out. Kennedy leads the attack. Now here for Hussey, and his shot is high and over the net as Cross got a stick in the lane. Threaded back out through center. And that one came off of the stick of Ryan Daw all the way back to goaltender Barrington. Ryan Daw having a lookie to see where he's going to go with the biscuit. Not quite sure yet as he needs his team in motion. Came out from behind the net, almost stripped of the puck. And Kennedy took a hard hit along the boards. And the Blizzard were able to keep the puck inside the Pinnacle zone. Under 6 to go in the opening period. Still 1-0 for the Growlers. Jacob Payne trying to lead the way out. It was gobbled up, thrown back in by Micah Tucker. Sexton on the move. Tucker moves up looking for Sexton. That's Pope checked away. And the puck back to the point for Daw. Daw shot through traffic. I don't think it got through, and I don't think that Arnold was forced to make a save. Daw will keep it again. That appeared to just squirt out. And the linesman was Johnny on the spot, one of the two. And the call is made immediately. So we have played 14 minutes and 34 seconds here this afternoon. And the Pinnacle Growlers continue to lead the East Coast Blizzard by a score of 1-0. You're listening to Newfoundland Labrador U18 Major Hockey League action from the D.F. Barnes Arena here in Midtown St. John's. Growlers' final regular season tilt. This will be game 32 for the first place hockey club. And you got to think that any point here today, whether it be a tie or it be a win, will be good enough to solidify first place for the Pinnacle Growlers. The Blizzard with some pressure on here, looking for the equalizer, have to pretty much win out. Barrington taking no chances as the Blizzard had their best bit of puck possession in some time inside of the Growler zone, and Barrington decides to stop that in its tracks, and he'll hold on for a face-off. Yeah, the Blizzard pretty well have to win out if they have to continue their hopes of leapfrogging the Growlers for first place in the U18 Major League. Here's a shot from the point by Pilgrim. Pad save by Barrington. Kept in by Russell. He'll play it back to the point. That's thrown in off the end boards. Opportunity for Liam Hodder to get the puck up, and that was gobbled up here. And the Blizzard play it back, but that's swept away. Here's a feed for Corbett. Mark Corbett deep inside the zone, playing it back for Ben O'Brien. Bryan had the game winner on a power play the last time these two teams met at the Danny Cleary Community Center in Harbor Grace back on the 7th. Blizzard had a 1-0 lead going into the third, and then the Growlers scored 3 times, and Ben O'Brien's goal at the 8:29 mark proved to be the winner. Russell one-on-one on Devereaux, and Devereaux spins away from him, the sleek defenseman, throws it up the right wing boards. That was gobbled up at center, and King fires it right back in high, and Jack Barrington makes the glove hand save. Inside 4 to go in the opening period. 1-0 for the Growlers. On Elliott Wright's unassisted, even strength tally. That's all the scoring so far. Noble hits the line, dropped it back for Kosh. Kosh had it, bumped his man along the boards. Noble in pursuit. It'll come back to the point, and young Andrews will keep that puck inside Pinnacle territory. Here's an opportunity. Noble cross-ice door, and they fire it home. What a beautiful goal to tie the score at 1-1. At 16:45, it was tucked home on a great feed across, and we are all square. I'll get you the goal scorer here. That was Noah King. Pardon me, I should know that. He's the center on the top line with Ryan Lovelace and normally Ashton Farrell, but Jacob Cush has moved up there today, and we've got a tie hockey game. So we're at ones here in the opening period from the D.F. Barnes Arena in Midtown St. John's. We get the official momentarily, but it was Noah King. Here's an opportunity now. The Growlers will move inside the zone, looking about. Shot right on. Arnold the save, and the rebound was hammered wide of the goal. So Noah King equalizes for the East Coast Blizzard, who play their home games out of the Glacier in Mount Pearl, coached by Jeff Brewer. Puck on the point, Liam Hodder. He tried to set that up for his teammate. That didn't work, and now Hodder has to recoil. Played that inadvertently back for a teammate, and racing after the puck goes Ryan Chafe. Bodied along the end boards. Kosh is up there too. And the forecheck continues for the East Coast Blizzard. Chafe being pestered there. And now finally a puck back into the corner. And in the slot areas, it gets a little scrappy and tangly here in the final 2 minutes of this opening period. I just lost my train of thought for a moment, folks, and now Cross with an interception. Dish across for Marner. Marner wearing 89, no 16. I'm sure it was available, but to each his own. And now finally, the heavy hitting continues, and the puck out through center ice with a minute and a half left in the opening period. Feeding came off of the captain, Mason Daw. Daw to a loose puck. Thwarted there by Payne. And now out through center, where Kennedy has it at his own line. He'll drop it back. Growlers methodically looking to get another rush in here in the final 70 seconds. Couple nice moves by the captain, Daw. He's got it by himself. He's inside the zone, looking for help. Threw it in the slot. It was gobbled up by Payne. Now here's Kennedy. Slams on the brakes, back to the point for Daw. In for Kennedy. Still has puck possession. He'll cycle it down low. And Hussey took a run at that, but he was knocked off the puck. 45 seconds left here in the opening period. Knotted in a 1-1 tie between the East Coast Blizzard and the Pinnacle Growlers. The battle for first place in the Newfoundland Labrador U18 Hockey League. Half a minute to go. Daw will play it back for his teammate. A left wing feed for Hussey. Hussey spins back. Noah King, who equalized, the captain for the Blizzard. In on the forecheck, and now Michael Pilgrim moving up from his defensive posturing. And he'll throw it into the corner for Loveless. Loveless always dangerous, trying to weave some offense here in the final 5 seconds. And that's going to do it for the first period of play. So these two arch rivals battling it out here in a midweek Wednesday afternoon from the Dieppe Barnes Arena. And a well-paced opening period of play. We have a 1-1 tie through 20 minutes of action. We'll take a timeout here. We'll be back with period number 2 after the flood here as the midweek game, a bit of an oddity on the schedule in the NL U18 Major Hockey League. Well, we're playing it for real here this afternoon, and after 20 minutes, we're locked in a 1-1 tie. Brian Rogers for Seth Hyde right here on the Growlers Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the D.F. Barnes Arena in Midtown St. John's for second period action of this afternoon's Newfoundland Labrador under 18 major hockey league game between the Pinnacle Growlers and the East Coast Blizzard. Brian Rogers in for Seth Hyde on this, the 25th of January in the year 2023. 1-1 tie after 20 minutes of play. As both teams give a tap on the boards here, and we're underway in period number 2. Elliot Wright has scored for the Pinnacle Growlers, and Captain Noah King replying in the latter stages of the first for the East Coast Blizzard. Play underway in front of the Growlers' goal. They whip it up through center and a feed for Ben O'Brien. That was negated. Fed into the zone. A shot steered aside by young Arnold, who's heading to Charlottetown. One of 3 members of the East Coast Blizzard that will represent Newfoundland Labrador at the Canada Winter Games in PEI. Here's a shot and a glove hand save for Jack Barrington. Oh, that loose puck came free there. And it was Farrell and King trying to get this 1-1 tie unraveled, and they didn't miss by very much. Ashton Farrell, Noah King, Ryan Lovelace, the number 1 line for Jeff Brewer's East Coast Blizzard. Noah Bolin, one of my good friend George Bursel's grandson, and George very proud of his, of course, family loved one. Great move by Noble. Dandy wraparound attempt, and that was negated at the last second. Man, I'll tell you, Noble, number 92, Liam Noble, great numbers and some great skill. You can see the skill on these 2 young hockey clubs. There's a lot of very, very good talent here. Here's a shot and they score. There's Noble, the kid I just spoke about, and he goes under the bar and gives the East Coast Blizzard a 2-1 lead. Liam Noble with a rocket at 1:18. Barrington with no chance, and the Blizzard have taken the lead. That was a great shot, and Jack Barrington didn't have much of a chance on that. So Noble, who normally is the setup man, leads the Blizzard with 42 points, has his 43rd point, and another goal to go with his total, and it's 2-1. So the Growlers have work to do here against their arch nemesis as they trail for the first time today in these games. There's a loose puck at the side of the goal. Barrington taking no chances, with Vokey on the doorstep. So the Pinnacle Growlers, who are trying to at least gain a point out of this, and they'd like to, just to set the record straight, to wrap up first place in the 5-team U18 Major Hockey League. Back to the action as the Growlers now know that they've got their hands full here. They open the scoring and now have given up back-to-back tallies, and the Blizzard with the lead. Puck on the point for Carey, couldn't contain it. Oh, and now a player goes hard into the boards, caught an edge and fell. It's going to be a tripping minor or maybe interference. It'll be interference on Kearley. And the Blizzard are going to go to the power play. That's inadvertent, and of course, and no malice intended, but one of the coaches, Paul Dagg, one of my former compatriots with the Newfoundland Growlers of the ECHL, not too happy with that call. Nor is Johnny Ryan at the same time. Johnny filling in now for head coach Trevor Budgel on this Wednesday afternoon. So the Growlers are going to have to defend another Blizzard manpower advantage. They have the lead 2-1, looking to add another here. Jack Barrington has other thoughts, I'm sure, and that's keeping the biscuit out of that basket. Puck back of the point for Cross. He'll dish it here on the left-hand side as the Blizzard set it up. Here's a feed for Noble. He'll drop it down low, looking for a return feed from Ash Mitchell didn't work. Cross at the point. Weighing out his options, looking through. He'll dish it to the top of the circle on the left-hand side. Cross will go back here for Noble. And the Growlers doing a good job so far keeping the Blizzard to the outside. Nothing going in front. In fact, there's no forward for the East Coast Blizzard in front of the net. Puck at the point for Cross. Let it go. High glove hand save, Jack Barrington. Easy pickings. And he'll hold on for a face-off. 45 seconds has dissipated in the minor penalty to the Pinnacle Growlers, Daniel Kearley. And now Andy Knight will make that, pardon me. That was not Andy Knight. That was a loose puck. My bad, pardon me. Get myself straightened away here now as Noble comes for a blade back in his own zone. Liam Noble, who has the go-ahead goal for the Blizzard, dancing gingerly into the zone, deep in behind the goal, coming out of the corner. Noble to the point for Cross. Cross ice feed. Loveless in the slot, and that one's redirected wide by Noah King, the captain who had the first Blizzard goal. Back to the point for Cross. Here's a shot. That's a hard, high one. That's well wide off the protective mesh, and the face-off will come outside of the there you go, the Pinnacle Growlers. How do you like those apples, Seth? Don't ever say that, kiddo. Leave it to this old fart. That would be the Pinnacle Growlers. Now I've got it embedded in my brain. I won't be able to say Pinnacle Growlers anymore for the rest of the afternoon. Nick Devereaux, hard to a loose puck, rimming it off the boards. That is not going to get out. Kept in by LeDrew. Chipping one in here, and back to the point for Smith. Smith takes a look. He'll go top of the circle on the left wing side. Kosh drops it back for Smith into the corner, and that one escaped LeDrew as the Growlers look for puck possession. They're down to the final 15 seconds left. And now the Blizzard trying to set up behind LeDrew, trying to bank one in off Barrington. That didn't work. Devereaux got it to the line. Farrell kept it in. And now he has to retreat, and the puck will be iced. No, they won't. It won't ice because there was a second left. So that is not icing, folks, and the penalty's over. So the Newfoundland Growlers midget team, the Pinnacle Growlers, are able to knock down that power play. Pardon me, folks. It's been a while. Been 3 years since the old guy has called the game. That was my last Growler game for Chris Ballard. Benny O'Brien with Corbett. Corbett had it, lost it, and the puck played out here through center ice. So far, the line of Michael Skinner, Mark Corbett, and Ben O'Brien have been held pretty much intact here by the East Coast Blizzard squad this afternoon. But we know that I know, talking to Seth, that this team has all kinds of skill up front. Here's a feed for LeDrew. That could be an icing call, and it is. It was a close race, but the Growler gets the nod, and the puck's coming all the way back into Blizzard territory. And they'll drop this one off to the right of goaltender Carter Arnold. Carter, along with his teammates Michael Pilgrim and Jacob Kosh, will be in Charlottetown as a member of the Newfoundland and Labrador Winter Games Hockey Club, along with 6 members of the Pinnacle Growlers. We'll touch on that a little later on here this afternoon. Liam Hodder brought that puck back inside the zone, and heading back for it is Evan Cross. Puck to the blue line, kept in. Here's a shot right on. Arnold makes the pad save. Off of Mark Corbett's shot from the point. Chafe with a drive. Arnold made the save, but he couldn't corral that biscuit. And now the Blizzard turn the puck over, fed to the side of the goal. Deepest penetration for the Growlers here in the second period. Opportunity for Noah Bolin. He'll chip it in, looking for Pilgrim. Pilgrim battling hard along the boards. Cross took it away, backhanded it off a teammate, and it stays inside the zone. Pinnacle Growlers with puck possession, looking for an equalizer. Devereaux shot, loose puck. That one squirted wide off a redirect, and the puck still deep inside of Blizzard territory. Here's Cross. Off the glass, but not out. kept in there by Chafe, who took a high hit. Could have been a penalty on that play, but the referee let it go, and here's Devereaux trying to avoid Ash Mitchellmore in on the forecheck. That's intercepted, it bounded in the slot. Mitchellmore couldn't find it, and the Growlers were lucky as Barrington was able to actually dodge the bullet there from his teammate Devereaux. They got tangled up, and it was Jack Barrington who was able to get a piece of that, and they were able to get the puck out of harm's way, but inadvertently they iced the biscuit, so they're going to face a face-off to the right of their diminutive stopper in the Pinnacle Growler goal. Face-off won by the Blizzard. Battle for puck possession deep in the corner. Fed up here for Andy Knight. Little cross-ice feed, and here's Devereaux, head of steam. Got a lane, let it fly. Great save by Arnold as he came out to cut down the angle on that blast from Devereaux. Now inside the zone. Bolin looking in the slot. They look for a redirect there. Andy Knight was cruising. They would have loved to get him the puck. Here's a puck. Avery in looking for a loose puck. Big time save there. Now a puck at the point. It'll come across to Devereaux. He's looking for Bolin. Bolin spinning away. Trying to feed that for Andy Knight. Back for Noah Bolin. They continue to battle down there. And now Pilgrim's in the middle of it all. And he'll get to the loose puck, and he's going to flip it up and out. 7 minutes and 35 seconds has gone by the way boards here this afternoon. It's 2-1 for the East Coast Blizzard. Here's a shot. And that's Knight's drive over top of the goal. Avery on the forecheck. Devereaux booting that puck up there. Tried to set it up along the boards, and now the Blizzard are back. Here's a feed for Smith. Smith deep inside the Growler zone. Puck will come loose, but now it's possession for the Blizzard. They're going to hang on to it here. Going for a dangle is one of their top players, and that's Liam Noble. He is the go-ahead goal in a 2-1 lead for the Blizzard. Trying to keep pace with the Growlers, who need a point. One would think that's not official, but 1 point here this afternoon would probably solidify their stake as the number one team in this 5-team provincial U18 league. Clearing attempt for the Growlers, kept inside the zone by the Blizzard. Loveless looking for his man, and that was taken away. And now regrouped as the Blizzard continue to press. Puck in the slot area. Here's a chance for Noble again. Oh, and a feed for Loveless. And he was going to one knee, and he ripped it over top of the net. Excellent action between these two arch rivals here this afternoon. Farrell in the slot. That was blocked. Taken away by Devereaux. But the puck is still inside of Pinnacle Growler territory. Hussey battling here. Farrell couldn't contain. Here's a loose puck and a shot over top of the goal as Cody had an opportunity. We have a player down. That's Farrell, who took a belt. Slow to get to his feet and head to the bench. Now Loveless dangling with Noble. Here's Loveless for Noble. A big save there by Barrington as this dangerous combination for the East Coast Blizzard almost had another tally to lead to their 2-1 advantage. Jack Barrington being called upon here in the second period with some timely stops to keep the Growlers in this hockey game. A well-fought contest here this afternoon, I might add. 10:28 left in the second period. 2-1 for the East Coast Blizzard. On goals by Noah King and Liam Noble. Growlers actually opened the scoring in a goal by Elliott Wright in the first period, and that's all they have so far. So a face-off here to the right of Barrington from the draw. It's back to the point for Payne. His shot was redirected off a skate and wide of the goal. Centered in the slot, and now the Growlers will bounce it out through center. They need to get themselves righted here to the Pinnacle Growlers, try to get some offense going. Here's LeDrew stepping in. He threw it across, deflected. Big save by Barrington to keep it at 2-1. Jack stacking the pads on that play. Still 1 goal differential, but the East Coast Blizzard have been buzzing here in the middle stanza. Now a feed for Declan Kennedy inside the zone. Kennedy's shot was wide of the mark. And the puck flipped to the line, but not out. Kept in by Daw. He snapped that right on. And Carter Arnold made the save. Liam Hodder with a touch, and we get a stoppage in play. We got a penalty call here. In behind the play, I missed it. The referee didn't, I believe. He's calling another minor. And I'm not sure what for, but there's a little animosity here. Have we got a player being thrown out? Something's going on here, folks. Paul Dagg, Johnny Ryan on the Pinnacle Growler bench, looking to get some kind of confirmation on what's what. We got a player being escorted out, number 18. That's Avery tossing his stick in disgust. Looks like Nolan Avery has received a game misconduct. Now, I'm not sure if he chirped the ref or whatever, but something went on, and he's gone. So, unfortunately, you'll have to wait to find out what it is, what it was. But it looks like another East Coast Blizzard power play. So, well, we get a stoppage in play here and try to figure out what's shaking. There's 9:40 left. There's Nolan Avery gets a 2-minute minor on the board. Did he receive a 10-minute misconduct? We're not really sure. Maybe he was unhappy with something that happened and he may have blurted something out. Hey, hockey's a passionate game. You don't play with your heart, you don't play. And sometimes it's hard to control your emotions, and it appears that young Nolan Avery, that may have been the case. From the draw, the Blizzard back on another power play. And here's Evan Cross at the point. Now for Noble. Noble dangles. Good play by Liam Hodder. Stood in the shooting lane there. Hodder got a piece of that puck. And it's up off the protective mesh, so we'll get a stoppage in play. 10 seconds has expired. Nolan Avery's penalty being served by another teammate. And here's Noah King up against Declan Kennedy. Kennedy has shown the way. And Reese Sexton had to come in and take that draw. Puck on the slot. Noble scores. Noble's got a rocket, and he's got a pair, and he's got a power play goal at 10:39, and it's 3-1 for the Blizzard, who need to win out to catch the Growlers from first place in the NL U18 Major Hockey League. So the Growlers slowly but surely will learn a lesson here that they're going to have to stay out of the penalty box, especially with the way that the Blizzard's number one line has been dishing the puck around. Ryan Lovelace, Noah King, and Liam Noble, who's jumped up there on a number of occasions here this afternoon. So Noble's got a pair, and it's 3-1 Blizzard. And now here's Quinlan deep inside the Growlers zone. He'll throw it in behind the net. It's sent out in the slot that was intercepted. And the Growlers will chip it out through center. That's as far. It didn't even really reach center. Good job there by Harry Smith to keep it in. And Nick Devereaux takes a pop. Fed up the boards, but that's intercepted. Now a puck on the slot for Quinlan. Taken away, but the Blizzard hard on it. And Smith is back in his own zone. Throws the puck up the boards, up the left wing boards. Noble trying to get in front of Devereaux, and he beat him to the puck. Liam Noble all over the ice. Smith a shot. That hit a skate, went out into the corner. Devereaux, one hand on his stick, trying to move the puck out. And it's in behind the goal for Liam Noble. Noble with a pair. 3-1 for the East Coast Blizzard. Harry Smith had it. Benny O'Brien got a handle on him. The puck came out through center, but the Growlers can't gather it up to get any offense going as the Blizzard have shut him off at center ice. Big hit there by Michael Skinner on Quinlan, who bounced up quickly, none the worse for the wear. And it's all Blizzard right now. Noble, another shot. That was blocked. And now an opportunity for the Pinnacle Growlers. Trailing 3-1 with 7:50 to go here in the second period. Flipped out through center. Hodder has it there. Hodder looking here for Wright. And that puck is snapped into the zone. Elliot Wright has the only goal for the Pinnacle Growlers here this afternoon, trailing by a score of 3-1 with 7:25 to go in the second period. 32nd and final regular season game for the Pinnacle Growlers, while the East Coast Blizzard, with a win this afternoon, would cut into the overall lead, and they'd have 3 games in hand. But in order for the East Coast Blizzard to surpass the Pinnacle Growlers, they have to pretty well win this game this afternoon, which they're in control of at this juncture, and their 3 remaining games as well. And I think a couple of those are against the 5th place Western Kings, a much better hockey club than their record indicates in the league standings. Of course, you have the Central Impact and also the Taipan Osprey ahead of the Western Kings as well. This is a battle for top spot. This afternoon, the second place team so far has the upper edge. Granted, they've taken advantage of power play. After power play, there's a puck that hit a player on the Blizzard bench. And it'll be stopped, and they'll bring it back inside of Pinnacle Growler territory. 7:03 to go in the second period. It's 3-1 Blizzard. Evan Cross for Liam Noble, looking for the hat trick. Here's the feed across. Noble again, and there you go. There's the hat trick for Liam Noble. Quick release. He's got 3, and it's 4-1 Blizzard. And that was another power play goal. And that is, in essence, the differential in this hockey game here this afternoon. And now we've got another Growler player receiving the boot. I think I think this is only my assumption as a longtime professional broadcaster who had a real issue with officiating, as you probably are aware if you listen back in the day. But it appears that young Jack Chafe, has just gone to the dressing room as well, and he has received a misconduct. So it appears that we have a thin-skinned referee, and there's a pair of them today. But right now, Paul Dagg, Johnny Ryan on the Pinnacle Growler bench are trying to settle their hockey club down and tell them, hey, let's keep our cool, mind your wits, keep your mouth shut, beer down, and play the game. I'm sure these youngsters know that, but sometimes your emotions get the better of you in the greatest game in the world, and it appears that's what's happened here to the Pinnacle Growlers in this second period. As they've given up 3 unanswered goals, 2 of them to the Blizzard on the power play is what I'm trying to babble out here. That's Liam Noble with 3 back-to-back goals on the power play for the East Coast Blizzard. It's only one man's opinion, and I'm not berating the official, but it just appears that is the case. Got to treat them nice, guys and gals. You got to treat them nice. Especially in this day and age, where the world is amok. Back to the action. 4-1 Blizzard. 6:40 to go in the second period from the D.F. Barnes Arena here in Midtown St. John's on a crisp Wednesday, the 25th of January. Sun is shining. It's a little breezy, but a beautiful winter day. A great day for hockey. And here's LeDrew at center. That was taken away by Sexton. They'll feather it into Blizzard territory, and a late icing call against the Pinnacle Growlers. And the faceoff is coming all the way back. And it will be to the right of Jack Barrington in the Pinnacle Growler goal. Now, Jack Barrington has played a solid game here this afternoon. Some people may look at the stat and say, hey, it's 4-1. Well, the kid has made some dandy stops in particular early in this second period, and it has unfortunately been the benefactor, or not the benefactor, of defensive prowess in his own zone. And then, of course, on the other side, the Blizzard have been terrific on the power play. Here's Ben O'Brien in, and he shuffled it wide as he tried to beat him on the glove hand side. The Growlers need the next one. Penalty coming up to the East Coast Blizzard, so we're going to see a Growler power play. And they need one here, and they need a goal to get back in this contest. It's a hooking call this time around, called by the second referee. And we'll get a face-off here to the right of Carter Arnold in the Blizzard goal. Knight for Hodder at the top of the circle. Back for Knight. Wrist shot. Blocker save Arnold. Noah Boland back in for Andy Knight. Elliott Wright is out there up front. Nick Devereaux back on the blue line. The Growlers desperately need a goal here, trailing 4-1. Puck kept in momentarily and now sliced out to center. And the Growlers need to get going up ice. Here's a feed across. Taken by Wright. And a shot wide of the goal. Devereaux at the point. Takes a look. Lets it go. Blocker save Arnold. And a loose puck here for Knight. Back for Devereaux into the corner. Thrown back to the point. Slap shot, a rocket from Devereaux. Was redirected, tipped and wide and over top of the goal. Inside a minute left in the Growler power play. Trailing by 3, and they need a tuck here in the worst kind of way to get back into it. Here's Knight dropping one back here for Bullen. Backdoor feed. Oh, it would have been beautiful. If that had been tape to tape, it would have been a 4-2 hockey game. Devereaux had it. He'll get support from Liam Hodder and the shot right on. And Arnold makes another stop. Here's a wrister. That's blocked. It'll come out through center. We're down to half a minute left in the Growler power play. Chipped in there neatly by Noah Boland. Boland dangling inside the zone, behind the goal, trying to come out of the corner. He'll get it back for Hodder. Takes a return pass. And now it'll be chipped here along the boards. We're down to 10 seconds left in the power plays. The Growlers trying to get something going here at the tail end of this. Hodder, not much in the way of shots and goals so far. Puck back to the point. That penalty is now over. Here's a shot. Hit the goalpost through traffic. The Growlers came within an inch or so of getting to within 2. The tail end of the power play, and the puck rang off the iron. 3:30 to go here in the second. 4-1 Blizzard. And the puck back to the Growler line. Devereaux took a bump there. Quinlan dancing inside, but Mitchell Moore couldn't bail in time. And the play goes offside. Well, congratulations to the 9 members of these 2 excellent young hockey clubs who will represent Newfoundland Labrador at the 2023 Canada Winter Games from February 18th to the 25th in Charlottetown, PEI. Ryan Daw, Patty Gillespie, Noah Boland, Declan Kennedy, Ben O'Brien, Elliott Wright from the Growlers. And we have another goal by the Blizzard. And I was just about to mention Carter Arnold, Mike Pilgrim, and Jacob Kosh are the members from the Blizzard. And while I was doing my due diligence on that, they scored another goal. 5-1 for the Blizzard. And it comes at 16:52, and I can't tell you who scored it. My apologies, because I wasn't watching the play. And that's something that a broadcaster's not supposed to do, take his eyes off the play. This old guy did. And if you're a Blizzard fan, my apologies, but you got to be happy. You don't worry about me. They're up by 4. And they're back in again. Here's a shot. Barrington makes the save. Sexton battling hard in behind the goal. Hard hit there as the Blizzard continue to buzz in the Growler zone. 2:40 to go here in the second. A 5-1 hockey game. And these two teams playing in their 8th and final matter. For the most part, the games have been decided by 1 or 2 goals at the most, outside of an early 6-2 Growler win to start this 8-game set in Grand Falls, Windsor earlier in the season. Growlers won the last game between these two clubs, but it appears that the Blizzard now, still plenty of hockey to be played, but they have a 4-goal cushion here in the second. They have to win out to catch the Pinnacle Growlers for top spot in the NL U18 Major Hockey League. And the way things are going right now, that may not be out of their reach. Because if they win this game this afternoon, they will have beaten the Growlers 5 times in the 8 straight-up mess. Oh, there's a nasty hit from behind, and that's going to be a penalty, maybe a double minor, possibly, or it's definitely a charge. And that might be me being presumptuous, folks. I'm just telling by the look of things, the way that it sounded, that it might have been a double minor, but I'm not sure. All I know is that Micah Tucker did not want to take that penalty because he knows his team's down by 4, and one more and it might be lights out. However, stranger things have happened. So the Pinnacle Growlers running into penalty problems here in period number 2, trailing 5-1, now have to knock this one down. And the big guns are out there again. Noble's already got a hat trick. He's got the puck again. He's got a great release. He'll throw it back here, and it bounces out through center. And the Blizzard will regroup. Liam Noble, he of the hat trick here this afternoon. We'll drop it back, and Harry Smith leads the attack up ice. Here's Quinlan dancing inside the zone. Diminutive winger threw it across for Noble. Back to the point for Smith. Over on the side for Pilgrim. His pass was off the skate of Knight. Now here's Noble. Top of the circle. On the left-hand side. Back out to the blue line. Redirect. He was looking for Quinlan back door. And Patrick Quinlan chipped it over top of the goal. Here's Noble again. Top of the circle. Left-hand slide in the slot. Shot. Great glove hand save. Jack Barrington. Flashing the old cowhide crab on that one. And he'll hold on for a face-off. We're down to 63 seconds left here in the second period in an uphill battle for the first place. Pinnacle Growlers trailing the East Coast Blizzard 5-1 on this Wednesday afternoon at the D.F. Barnes Arena in Midtown St. John's. Mitchell Moore from the draw, getting it back to the point. Final minute of play in period 2. A good thing for the Growlers. They need to get to the room to regroup. Hope to come up with a better effort in period number 2, and it'll start by staying out of the penalty box. Puck on a point for Cross. He'll dish it across. Pilgrim waits. They're looking for Loveless, who moved up on the play. Ryan Loveless, number 16. Cross-ice feed here for Cross, stepping up. Defender looks behind the net. Leaves that there for Farrell. Ashton Farrell had it, lost it, and it's ripped out and down the ice. 20 seconds left here in the second period. East Coast Blizzard 5, the Pinnacle Growlers 1. Long outlet feed for Loveless. Deep inside the Growlers zone, only 5 seconds remaining. And that's going to do it for the second period. Well, I'll tell you, she was all East Coast Blizzard in the second stanza, to say the least. It was 1-1 through 20 minutes of play, and penalty after penalty after penalty cost the Pinnacle Growlers dearly in period number 2. So, led by a hat trick from Liam Noble, number 92, the Blizzard have a 4-goal lead through 40 minutes of play. You're listening to Newfoundland Labrador U18 Major Hockey League action on the Growlers Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the DF Barnes Arena here in Midtown St. John's for the third period of action. And a big uphill battle for the Pinnacle Growlers, trailing the East Coast Blizzard by a score of 5-1. I'm Brian Rogers, in for Seth Hyde, who will be back in action for the playoffs. Growler fans, for sure. Puck cleared out of harm's way. This is going to come the length of the ice, and we got an icing call here 21 seconds into period number 3. So a big afternoon for Liam Noble. Noble came into this afternoon's tilt with 42 points overall, including 29 assists. So he's added to his total now. He's got a hat trick in the hockey game this afternoon. And a natural hat trick at that, might I add, as he scored 3 consecutive goals. And that doesn't happen very often. It's called a natural hat trick, and that's what Liam Noble has here this afternoon for the East Coast Blizzard. Came in as more of a playmaker and showing his great release, resulting in 3 goals here this afternoon, and all of them on Honey shots. So the Growlers, who came into this contest, their final regular season game in the 32 league schedule, find themselves down here by 4. The Blizzard are in pretty good shape here to try to catch the Growlers, and I don't want to beat that to death, but it's important for home ice advantage, obviously, in the playoffs, and for bragging rights. But these two teams are playing their 8th and final game, and this one seems maybe a little out of character for what most hockey fans of these two clubs are used to seeing, a tighter performance. Maybe it's just the way things unfold when you play a hockey game at a different time. Sometimes it affects you a little bit. You know, it may sound strange, but it's true. Here's a rocket shot from Noble at the point, looking for a 4th tally, and Barrington says not on this one, Liam. But again, I mean, it's a Wednesday afternoon game, a 4 o'clock start. And these teams have never probably played a 4 o'clock start on a midweek Wednesday afternoon. Well, here we are. And the Blizzards have been in control thanks in part to a 4-goal second period outburst. 3 of those off the stick of Liam Noble for the natural hat trick. Face off to the right of Jack Barrington in the Pinnacle Growler goal. Ash Mitchellmore in to take the draw here against Noah Bolin. That was Elliot Wright, number 15. See, by the time the game's over, we'll have all these guys down pat, but it'll be too late, and you'll be saying, listen to that old guy. He had no clue what he was doing. I know what I'm doing. I just don't know the players yet. And I apologize for that, but Seth will be back in his ear chair soon. You won't have to worry about it. Long outlet stretch for Andy Knight. Plays onside. Knight in! And he backhands it wide. He had a golden opportunity there on a design play. Here's a loose puck. And Noah Bolin almost had one. Bolin dangling in behind the goal for Knight. Knight coming out of the corner. He tried to throw it toward the net. Bolin centered it out here. And it's played back to the point. Puck skipped over Elliot Wright's skates and stick. And now here, an opportunity for the Pinnacle Growlers. And Knight tried to get a shot away. Couldn't. Here's a shot. That's whistled wide. Good pressure by the Growlers. They need one here. Another shot. Big save by Arnold. And now finally the Blizzard will flip as Vokey fired it up and chased and tried to hunt down that puck. Does a nice job going after that. Jalen Vokey, number 36. And now a puck battle, pardon me, behind the Pinnacle Growler net and out to center. It's as far as it came. That's interference right there on Marner, 89. No call. And the play continues. I mean, if you're going to call penalties, you got to call that one. Outlet feed here for Hussey, dancing inside the zone with speed. Hussey deep in the corner, rubbed out by Cross, but continues on. LeDrew in support and moving up, pinching in with Sexton with the puck all the way out to center. Liam Hodder, cross-ice feed. Hussey had a touch, and that's as far as it goes. Here's Noah King. He scored the first Blizzard goal this afternoon before Liam Noble took over and scored 3 in a row to make it 5-1. Growlers definitely need the next one. Here's an opportunity. Shoveled there and a good save by Arnold. He has looked rock solid in between the pipes here for the East Coast Blizzard. They have a standing young netminder making some big-time saves here this afternoon. He gave up the game's first goal, but he had no real chance on it after making 2 saves. And a shot there is off Arnold into the corner. Loveless setting it up for Noble. Farrell up there as well. Now a long cross ice feed. Harry Smith, the defenseman, jumps up on the play. Smith in the corner. Good puck possession by the Blizzard in behind the Growler net. Noble dancing out of the corner. Liam Noble for Harry Smith. Smith stepping up. Back for Noble. Noble shoots. Pad save Barrington. Smith to the rebound. Back for Noble. Cross ice feed here. Farrell caught an edge. He's lost his blade. His blade is on the ice. One of the linesmen needs to get that out of there, blow the whistle or do something. We have a skate blade on the ice there. Here's a feed for Hussey as the play comes down the other end. The referee's going to push him, and they're going to get the blade in the net. Everybody's jumping in. Here's Chase backdoor feed. Oh, what an opportunity for Declan Kennedy. And he redirected that wide of the goal. She's heating up now. Here's a shot from the point from Chafe and a glove save by Arnold. Well, that was an interesting play right there at center ice. As one of the Blizzard players, there's the skate blade on the ice down there right now. You don't want anybody tripping over that. Those things are razor sharp in the newfangled age of hockey. The skate blades are replaceable. Try to do that in my age and you wouldn't play the game. And that was back in the 70s. A long time ago. So 5-1 here for the East Coast Blizzard. The Growlers trying to get back in this here in the third period. Push so far hasn't resulted in any goals. And now a clear-cut breakaway. Here's a chance as the Blizzard are in, and it's a goal. It's a beauty, too, by Ash Mitchellmore. He danced in alone and beat Jack Barrington, and it's 6-1 in favor of the Blizzard. So Mitchellmore was able to dangle in there and do the deal. So she's 6-1, and if I'm a betting man, which I'm not, with only 15:04 left, the Growlers need a miracle to pull out a victory here this afternoon. Kosh back in for the Blizzard. His shot, that one came off of Liam Hodder. Now it's fed along the boards and kept it at the point. Cross. It's been rock solid on the back end this afternoon, Evan Cross. Mitchellmore with the 6 tally for the Blizzard. The Growlers would like to get back in this one a little more. Here's a feed for Sexton, dancing inside the zone. Reese Sexton. Out there with Wright and Micah Tucker. Don Chafe on the back end here for the Pinnacle Growlers, trailing by a lot. 6-1 is the score with 14:10 remaining here in the third period. Puck kept inside of Blizzard territory. A feed for Ben O'Brien. The pass kind of handcuffed him a little bit. He was able to collect himself. He got it in. He battles with Evan Cross for the puck deep inside the zone. Mark Corbett up there as well. The Growlers, big gunners here this afternoon, have been held in check. That's one of the blessings for the East Coast Blizzard here today, as Corbett was knocked down from behind. Ryan Chafe tried to move up to keep that play alive. Still in there, and finally the Blizzard will inadvertently knock that puck out of play. So 13:30 to go in the third, and it's all Blizzard this afternoon from the D.F. Barnes Arena, thanks in part to a 4-goal outburst 3 of those tallies on power plays, and that is the differential here this afternoon between these arch rivals. Vokey chasing down a loose puck. Jack Barrington flipped it. Oh, that was knocked down, not by a high stick, and the play continued. And here's Ben O'Brien for the Growlers as far as center. Hit the East Coast Blizzard line, was tangled up with Marner, got knocked down, and the puck is fed back in by Jack Chape. Vokey stood up by Chape. Michael Skinner's feed for O'Brien. Didn't work. And the Pinnacle Growlers number 1 line of Michael Skinner, Mark Corbett, and Ben O'Brien held off the score sheet here this afternoon. That could change as O'Brien takes the pass inside the zone. Try to get a shot away. That was negated, and now here's Skinner on top of it. Skinner in the slot. Corbett with a shot. Michael Skinner leading the Growler attack through the season with 28 assists. Mark Corbett, the overall points leader with 35, including a team-leading 19 goals. Opportunity now for Noah King. Nice move inside the zone. On his own, and a good hard wrister that Barrington had a blocker aside. 5-goal lead for the East Coast Blizzard here this afternoon with 12:01 remaining in the third period. So the first meeting of the year between these two teams resulted in a Growlers victory in Grand Falls, Windsor to the tune of 6-2. And after that, most of the games were one-goal tilts. The Blizzard winning 5-2, 4-2, 3-2, and 4-3. Growler victories 6-2, 4-1 in the third meeting of the year. 3-1 in the seventh meeting, most recently in Harbor Grace at the Danny Clary Community Center on Saturday, January 6th. The Growlers beat the Blizzard 3-1. But the East Coast squad this afternoon, they're full marks for their 5-goal advantage. Intercepted here, and an opportunity here for Noah Bolin. He's got Knight up there and Tucker with him, looking for Micah Tucker. And that didn't work, and the puck comes back through center. Noble in vicinity of it. That's taken away, and an opportunity now as the Blizzard are back in. Harry Smith puts on the brakes. Chip pass across, intercepted. Here's a chance for Andy Knight. Knight with Bolin. 2 of them in deep. Fed across. Oh, what a save! An outstanding save there by young Carter Arnold. And then finally another stop. And the Growlers are looking to the heavens here. Wow, that was a tremendous save. 2-on-1. It looked like an easy goal. And just like that, denied. Great read, though. Great feed. And a tremendous save, to say the least. I know I'm supposed to be a bit of a Pinnacle Growler homer here this afternoon, but you got to give credit due where it's due. And I got to tell you, young Carter Arnold has looked terrific. He hasn't faced near the amount of rubber that Jack Barrington has, but when he's been called upon, he has been tremendous. A big upside to that youngster, for sure. Reaching almost the halfway mark of the third period. Time ticking away on the Pinnacle Growlers in their final regular season game. They're going to have to get help from the Western Kings. They'll need them to play spoiler to keep the East Coast Blizzard from taking over first place here in the Newfoundland Labrador Under-18 Major Hockey League. Puck on the slot, gobbled up here and away come the Growlers. Chafe leads the attack, but Hussey was in a step ahead of him, and it's offside against Pinnacle. 10:09 remaining here in the third period. 6-1 Blizzard. 3 from number 92, Liam Noble. A natural hat trick in the second period. The majority of them coming of the man advantage. From the draw, won by the Growlers, and slowly dumped in by Liam Hodder. In pursuit goes Reese Sexton. Here's a feed in the slot. That puck bounces back hard off Hodder. Patrick Quinlan up on the forecheck, stole the puck. Here's Quinlan, let it go, and the save was made. Barrington, and then the feed back in front. Grant glanced off the goalpost, it appeared. Barrington lost his stick. His teammate Elliot Wright lost his edge. And now the puck will be kept in by Wright at the line as he regrouped himself, picked himself up, and charged back. Now he's got a look here, but his shot was deflected by a defender. 9:25 remaining in the third. 6-1 for the Blizzard. They continue the charge up front. Noah King trying to get a look. That's taken away by Ryan Dawn. Brought up as far as the Blizzard blue line. Quinlan tried to set that up for Noah King. Now a feed here. Here's Mark Corbett dancing in. Corbett a shot. And there once again is Carter Arnold to answer the bell. Inside 9 to go here in the third. 6-1 for the East Coast Blizzard. Shot from the point, wide of the mark as the Growlers tried to cosmetically improve the look on the score clock. Now a big defensive play there by Devereaux as he was falling to the ice. Nick was able to contain himself, and he got up and he slid the puck out. That's called due diligence right there, man. You make a bit of a mistake and you feel lousy about it, but you still got the intestinal fortitude to stick with the play. And he was able to do just that and avoid disaster. They don't want to give up a seventh one, I don't think. Big hit in front of the bench. And now back the Growlers at center. Corbett steps inside the line. He's intercepted. Here's Skinner trying to move the puck across, but that was knocked down, and a beautiful move by Noble as he dangled by. Here come the Blizzard again. Smith over here for Marner. And Marner was contained, and it's going to come all the way back here once again for Noble. Liam Noble, the outright first star of this hockey game here this afternoon with a natural hat trick in the second period for the Blizzard. Now a feed up ice and Chafe with Noble on his tail. Jack Chafe. Back for Ryan Dawn. In fact, the Pinnacle Growlers have been utilizing just 5 defensemen here in this hockey game as Finley Dobbin was unavailable for duty this afternoon. On the other side, the Blizzard are missing at least 3 or 4 regulars. They're missing Luke Marnell. They're missing Ben Spurl. Defenseman Caden Snow. Jacob Payne has joined the action today, and Jacob Russell as well. Slap shot from the point, redirect didn't work. And we're down to the final 7 minutes of play here in period number 3. And the East Coast Blizzard well on their way to a victory this afternoon, and they'll claw themselves 2 points closer to the Growlers for top spot overall. Andy Knight intercepting that clearing attempt, playing the puck back into the corner. Maurice Sexton, that doesn't work. And away come the Blizzard. LeDrew had it. The play goes offside. He and Devereaux eyeball each other. None the worse for the wear. We're down to 6:38 left in regulation time, and the supporters of the Pinnacle Growlers haven't had a whole lot to cheer about this afternoon, but they're here supporting their youngsters. That's the main thing. Hockey's a great game, and you either love it or hate it. And right here, Reese Sexton has got a little bitter taste in his mouth as he has found his way into the sin bin. So the steady parade to the penalty box, not like the second period, but here's another one in the third, and it unfortunately goes to the Newfoundland Growlers, known as the Pinnacle Growlers. And that is what they are. So another power play for the East Coast Blizzard. Here's Noah Boland going short-handed, 1-on-4. Nice effort. Liam Hodder moved in to keep that puck there for young Boland. Growlers looking for a shorty here to cosmetic it up a little bit. And the puck will roll back out through center. And it's snapped right down the ice. And Carter Arnold gets a piece of that. He's done that all afternoon. Only beaten once. The game's first goal went to Elliott Wright of the Pinnacle Growlers. It's been all Blizzard since. They can thank the power play for a lot of their offensive forays, which they've completed. Clearing attempt there was gobbled up, and here's Noah Boland, short-handed. Had the puck taken away there by Cody. Carter Cody, number 26, and here's Ledrew. Jacob Ledrew with a shot right on. Jack Barrington makes the save. And we're down to 5:27 remaining here in the third period. 53 seconds in the minor penalty to Reese Sexton. East Coast Blizzard 6, and the Pinnacle Growlers 1. From the draw, Farrell back to Pilgrim. Farrell top of the circle. Right-hand side to the point for Pilgrim. This has got to be at least a fifth or sixth power play for the Blizzard. Barrington the save. Cross. Loveless. Farrell. And then back to the point for Cross one more time. Dishes for King and back for Pilgrim. Blizzard killing time, methodically moving the puck around on their power play. I think they're content with 6. Well, maybe not. Farrell with a wrister. That's blocked. Comes back to Pilgrim one more time. Good work there by the Daw. One of the two Daw boys, that's Ryan. Mason, the captain, the other. Cross on his behind, puck on the slot for King, and that's redirected up and off of the protective mesh and off the ceiling here at the D.F. Burns Arena. We're down to 4:27 remaining in a 6-1 East Coast Blizzard lead. Face off to the right of Jack Barrington in the Pinnacle Growler goal. Power play is now over. Quinlan in for Noble. That's intercepted by Nick Devereaux and a pass up the board. So you're looking for Wright. Elliott Wright is the only Growler goal this afternoon. Here's a chance. Kearley a shot, and they score on the rebound. The puck was laying right there, and Elliott Wright was able to clean up the garbage and tuck it home for his second goal of the game. And that comes at 15:54 of the third. So Elliott Wright with a pair, and it's 6-2 for the East Coast Blizzard. So 6-2 is a lot better than 6-1, I can guarantee you that. And Carter Arnold with no chance there. He made the initial save, and Elliott Wright was Johnny on the spot. Here's Kosh with a shot. Nice pad save there by Barrington. Growlers, I'm sure, would like to chip away, and here they come again, getting an opportunity. Carley's in there, played it back for Micah Tucker. Tucker in behind the goal. Being pestered there by Noble, tried to set it up. Trying to walk the puck out in front. It'll come here to the side for Liam Hodder. Hodder let it fly. Juicy rebound. But this time the Blizzard pick it up, clear it out of harm's way, but they inadvertently ice it, and so the faceoff will come back into Blizzard territory. 3.5 to go here in the third. It's a 6-2 lead for the East Coast Blizzard. For you folks streaming on the Growlers Broadcast Network, which we'll call it, I hope you've enjoyed the action this afternoon, and I apologize for some shoddy play-by-play coverage, but it's been a while, folks. But as Arnold Schwarzenegger once said, I'll be back. That's it, they'll have me. Here's Corbett trying to dangle with that. It's kept in at the line by Chafe. Of course, Seth will be back in his normal position soon, but he's playing the greatest game in the world this afternoon with his Avalon Celtics team out in Conception Bay South. I hope he's doing well. Oh, golden opportunity. Wrap-around attempt here, and the whistle would blow, no goal. The Growlers keep chipping away and chipping away. They're playing for a little bit of pride here, obviously, in the final 3 minutes of this hockey game. And the face-off to the right of Carter Arnold in the Blizzard goal. From the draw, intercepted. Here comes Marner. Got as far as center. Nice play by Ryan Daw there to negate that foray. Michael Skinner looking for Mark Corbett. Corbett, the 19-goal scorer from the Pinnacle Growlers, would love to hit the 20 mark here this afternoon. He's been held off the score sheet so far, but he's out there now as the Growlers try to cut this lead in half. Trailing 6-2. Ben O'Brien playing it across for Chape. Back to the point. Here's a wrist shot and a rising drive over top of the goal. Corbett trying to bounce out of the corner. Played it across for O'Brien. Here's a shot. Hit a body in front. Ben O'Brien to a loose puck again. Still has it. O'Brien hangs onto it. Threw it down low, and it was redirected through the crease and out the other side. Skinner in on the forecheck, and now here's an opportunity for Marner. Marner dangling in. Cross-ice feed and an easy one for Ash Mitchellmore. Top shelf, beautiful pass. 7-2 Blizzard. That's 2 on the afternoon for Ash Mitchellmore, and he was set up absolutely beautifully by Elias Marner. No, not Mitch, but Elias. And it looks like Mitchellmore's got his hat trick, as I see some toques and hats coming out on the ice, so he had to have had the 5th goal that I missed in that second period. So a pair of hat tricks here this afternoon for the East Coast Blizzard. Ash Mitchellmore and Liam Noble both with hat tricks. And a 7-2 lead with inside 2 to go. Well, Jack Barrington had no chance on that one, folks. I mean, I got to be honest, and I'm not being cocky when I say this, but I could have scored that goal. A little snow cone ride there with a couple players, Reese Sexton and Jacob Payne, as they went to the ice. It was like they were tobogganing downhill. Well, it's been downhill for the Growlers here, unfortunately, this afternoon, but the good news is they're up at the top of this standing still, despite this setback, but they need help from the Western Kings as the East Coast Blizzard have 3 games remaining in their regular season schedule. They'll all be against the 5th place team from Western Newfoundland, but that doesn't mean that they're going to roll over. In fact, they're going to want to play spoiler, guaranteed. I would think that 4 of the 5 teams will make the playoffs in the, all 5 make it a round robin. 4 or 5 playoffs. Okay, thanks. Michael Bryan's been outstanding. Mike, of course, goalie coach for the Pinnacle Growlers, been helping out this afternoon with the Hides. Jackie and Darren out watching Seth play. So the regular streaming team of Seth's mom, Jackie, and dad, Darren, lovely people, will be back doing their thing in the near future with Seth on the call, which I think is absolutely wonderful. Love him. He's going to be a National Hockey League play-by-play guy some year with the help of people who care, and I'm one of them. I missed my opportunity because I chirped officials. We don't want that to happen to Seth. He's going to be too good. 25 to go in the final meeting of the regular season schedule between these 2 arch rivals from the Metro St. John's Mount Pearl CBS area. But it's been all Blizzard here this afternoon to play to the Glacier on visitors' ice here at the D.F. Barnes Arena. And this one is in the books. Here's LeDrew. He's going to snap one off, and Barrington will make the save, and that'll do it for this afternoon's tilt as the buzzer sounds. So the East Coast Blizzard know they have to win out to catch the Pinnacle Growlers, and they have taken a step toward that plight as they win out here in the 8th and final meeting of the season between these 2 teams, with the Blizzard coming out on top 5 victories to 3, and that'll do it for this afternoon's contest. So on behalf of Mike O'Brien, the Pinnacle Growlers, and the Hyde family, Seth, Mom Jackie, and Father Darren, I'm Brian Rogers saying good night from the Dia Barnes Arena here in Midtown St. John's. And thank you very much, Mike, for the opportunity. It's been a lot of fun to contribute, and I hope those of you who had streamed and couldn't make the game today were able to hack some of it. You know, I'll take all the criticism in the world next time I run into you. I got thick skin and 3 chins, so I can take the heat. On behalf of the Hydes and the Pinnacle Growlers, good night from the D.F. Barnes Arena in St. John's. Final score here, the East Coast Blizzard 7 and the Pinnacle Growlers 2. That's it. You've been listening to the excitement of the Newfoundland Labrador Under-18 Major Hockey League.